Neuroplasticity is the ability of our brains to change in response to experience or learning. It's been known for some time that if we damage a part of the brain, other areas can step in and take over those functions. But what's really incredible is that even without damage to our brains, they can actually change. In this episode, we're going to cover what neuroplasticity is, how you can use it to rewire your brain, and we'll also share some amazing stories of people who have used neuroplasticity to transform their lives. Welcome to our channel, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. There are lots of ways to change the structure of your brain, such as meditation, cognitive behavioral therapy, and repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation. Today, we're going to be focusing specifically on neuroplastic exercises, which are practical routines designed to modify behaviors or change the way you think with the ultimate goal of changing the physical structure of your brain. This is based on the concept that if you repeat a behavior enough times, it creates a new neural pathway in your brain. Over time, these pathways become stronger and eventually replace old thought patterns or behaviors. These are also sometimes called neuromotor pathways. To understand how these work, let's first look at your limbic system. Your limbic system is responsible for processing emotions and is made up of several structures, including the amygdala and the hippocampus. When you experience something emotional, your amygdala activates and sends signals to your prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain that helps you make decisions and plan for the future. The amygdala then communicates back and forth with the hippocampus to assess whether or not the event you've experienced is positive or negative. If it's negative, it stores the memory so that you can avoid that situation in the future. So basically, when you learn something new, it gets stored in your brain as a memory, and this is the basic mechanism behind neuroplastic exercises. By repeating a behavior over and over again, you're creating a new neural pathway in your brain. Basically, you're teaching your brain to think in a new way. So now that we know how neuroplastic exercises work, let's look at some examples. Here are some popular ones that you can start today. You can improve your memory by using mnemonic devices. A mnemonic device is a memory aid that helps you remember large amounts of information. One example of a mnemonic device is the first letter of each word in a phrase. For example, you could use this to remember the order of operations in math. Another example is to associate an image with a word. So here are the steps. Choose a word you want to remember. Create an image that represents that word. Associate the image with the word by saying the word out loud while looking at the image. Practice recalling the image when you see the word. Mnemonic devices work because they create vivid memories that are easy to recall. Another neuroplastic exercise is something we all know well: practice makes perfect. This is used to learn skills that require repetition, such as playing an instrument or riding a bike. Basically, by practicing, you're strengthening the connections between neurons. You're also creating new synapses between neurons. As you continue to practice, the number of synapses increases and the efficiency of the neural network improves. This ultimately leads to mastery of the skill. In a study published in the journal Neuron, researchers found that when musicians practiced playing an instrument, there was an increase in the amount of gray matter in their brains. Gray matter is responsible for processing information in the brain. So basically, the more you practice, the better you get at it. And the better you get at it, the more efficient your brain becomes at doing it. So this is why it's important to set realistic goals for yourself. If you're just starting out, don't try to learn everything at once. Just focus on one or two things and really develop a strong foundation before moving on to more advanced concepts. And if you're enjoying this video and finding it useful, please do us a favor and hit the like button. It helps us a lot. Thanks for being awesome. Now, back to neuroplastic exercises. Another effective strategy is interleaved practice. Instead of practicing the same skill over and over again, interleave different skills. This has been shown to lead to more robust memory formation. An example of this would be, instead of spending every day learning scales on the piano, you would spend every other day learning scales and arpeggios on the piano, and then alternate with learning music theory or ear training. This is very common in most martial arts dojos, where the instructor will rotate between teaching various techniques and forms. Interleaved learning allows you to practice and refine a variety of skills, which leads to a more robust memory formation. It also keeps your mind sharp and prevents you from getting bored. We've shared several stories about people who have transformed their lives through neuroplastic exercises. Now let's look at a few of them. Jim was a corporate executive who suffered a stroke that left him with aphasia, which is a language disorder that affects a person's ability to communicate. Through speech therapy, he learned to compensate for the damage to his brain by using different language centers. He also practiced using alternative communication strategies such as using gestures or writing to express himself. Over time, he was able to regain much of his ability to speak and communicate. He was even able to return to work. This is a great example of how neuroplasticity can help us overcome even the most challenging obstacles. Another story is that of Sarah, who suffered a traumatic brain injury in a car accident. She had trouble with memory and attention, but through cognitive behavioral therapy and neuroplastic exercises, she was able to regain much of her cognitive abilities. Sarah used techniques such as neuromotor pathways to strengthen the connections between neurons in her brain. She also used neurofeedback to monitor and control her brain activity. Through hard work and dedication, Sarah was able to make a full recovery and return to living a normal life. And finally, there's the story of David, who suffered a spinal cord injury that left him paralyzed from the waist down. Doctors told him that he would never walk again, but he refused to give up. David worked with doctors and therapists who helped him to relearn how to control his muscles. He also used neuroplastic exercises such as biofeedback to help him regain control of his bladder and bowels. After years of hard work, David was able to stand and walk again. This is a truly inspiring story that shows the incredible power of neuroplasticity. Now, let's talk about the future of neuroplastic exercises. There are some exciting developments on the horizon. One of the most promising areas of research is in the area of neurofeedback. Neurofeedback is a form of biofeedback that teaches people to control their brain activity. By providing visual or auditory feedback, people are able to see or hear how their brain is functioning in real time. They can then use this information to train their brain to perform certain tasks more efficiently. For example, neurofeedback has been used to help people with ADHD focus their attention. It's also been used to help people with epilepsy reduce the frequency of their seizures. The ultimate goal of neurofeedback is to give people the ability to control their brain activity so they can improve their cognitive and motor function. Another exciting development in neuroplastic exercises is the use of virtual reality. Virtual reality creates a computer-generated environment that simulates the real world. This environment can be used to create realistic scenarios that people can practice in. This is especially helpful for people who need to learn how to interact with others in social situations. For example, people with social anxiety disorder can practice interacting with others in a safe environment. They can then use this experience to improve their social skills in the real world. The last development worth mentioning is the use of transcranial magnetic stimulation. Transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS, is a non-invasive procedure that uses magnetic pulses to stimulate the brain. This can be used to treat conditions such as depression and obsessive-compulsive disorder. TMS works by inducing an electric current in the brain, which can then stimulate or inhibit the activity of neurons. This can be used to treat conditions by targeting specific areas of the brain that are involved in those conditions. All in all, the future of neuroplastic exercises is bright. There are many exciting developments on the horizon that have the potential to change the way we treat neurological and psychiatric disorders. If you're interested in learning more about neuroplasticity, check out our other videos on the topic. We've covered everything from how to use neuroplasticity to improve your memory to how to use it to overcome addiction. We also have a video on the latest research on neuroplasticity, so you can stay up to date on the most cutting-edge findings. If you're looking for a way to improve your brain function, neuroplastic exercises may be just what you're looking for. These exercises can be used to improve memory, attention, and other cognitive functions. They can also be used to treat neurological and psychiatric disorders. Neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to change in response to experience or learning. By practicing certain behaviors, you can actually change the structure of your brain. This is the basic mechanism behind neuroplastic exercises. By repeating a behavior over and over again, you create a new neural pathway in your brain. Over time, these pathways become stronger and eventually replace old thought patterns or behaviors. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our channel and join the Future Billionaires.